We were starting the episode, and I was like, "What?"
Hmm.
No. No, but I am going to tweet it.
I was gonna say you should tweet to those inner
Dear
tubes.
Twitter.
Yes, then you should have given us the whole turn on your Audacity thing, because
Not yet.
I
We
can
don't need
turn
to
it
do
on.
that just yet.
God, don't freak me out, you boob.
I'm sorry. I've never thought I'd see the day where somebody called GX a boob.
Oh, what?
Well, that day happened a long time ago. Shame you weren't around.
Eh, it just amuses me. That's it.
I don't know. I mean, he has the Waluigi avatar. I would think someone would have called him that a long time ago, even in front of you.
No.
Why don't you call him that?
But
Why
Waluigi
not?
#1.
Waluigi will never be number one. Waluigi is a piece of crap.
GX, I think you're confusing Waluigi with the Retardos. Because remember, Retardos, #1, forever.
What the heck is that from?
Space Ghost.
I didn't want you to tell her. I just wanted it to be a
Aw.
mystery forever.
But it's the great episode of Space Ghost. I would want her to watch that.
That's true. That's true.
It has the insult dog. What's the name of the dog puppet?
Oh, Triumph.
It has Triumph, the insult comedian dog puppet.
Oh, I know him. For me to poop on.
I never watched Space Ghost. I was more of a Harvey Birdman guy.
You can be
Yeah.
both. I'm both. I like both of those
You
things.
can't be both. You have to pick a side. Either
He
you are a
swings
Harvey
both
Birdman
ways.
fanatic
But
He
Space,
likes-
or a Space Ghost.
but
person.
Space Ghost says he's going to bang a dog up the ass.
I'm just a William Street kind of guy myself, so.
Yes.
I can
By the
I
way-
can kind of take or leave a lot of what William Street does. I mean, I love some of the stuff they do. Hate some of the other things that they do.
Speaking
Not
of
big
which,
on Space Ghost.
now that I have set the appropriate tone, it's worth mentioning that because the show is TV-14, I am allowing language and themes up to that point.
So
Yeah, I
mild
saw that.
cursing.
You
You're
just wanted to not have to edit out everything that Nux said.
well, that is partially true. No F, no S. Other things are fair game as long as you don't go too crazy.
What do you have against storks, GX? I love storks.
They are terrible, and they deliver Baby Mario, and thus he made the most annoying sound in Yoshi Island.
I like storks.
Anyhow,
Okay, whatever you say, GX.
from your Audacity,
No
go ahead
storks, no
and
fun.
hit record. And is everyone recording?
Well,
now
I
I am.
know, yeah.
Crap.
Now I am.
Give me
It's
some
fine.
time, man.
Give me 1 second. I have
well,
to
it's fine
restart.
because we're going to do a sync word at the end of it or at the beginning of it anyway. So that's what I'm looking for, not the
There we
exact
go.
point of startup.
Okay.
Okay. Tom, is everyone recording?
Yes.
I'm recording.
Everyone's waveform looks fine.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
looking good.
It looks okay.
Spectaculacious.
Mhm.
What we're going to do is we're going to do a clap. Get ready in 3, 2, 1.
Clap.
Close
Let's try. Yeah, close enough. That's fine. So, any questions on the show notes?
I don't
No.
think so.
Yes.
Where did
who
my
is
show notes
Luffy?
go? Let me,
Luffy
just
is
find
the
him.
man who's going to be king of the ninjas.
His
Ah.
Japanese name is,
He's
of
going to
course,
be the
Luffy.
next Hokage
I see.
in the spirit realm.
So he's not a space cowboy then.
No, he's
No,
the
no,
avatar.
but people call him one.
He is the avatar of the ninjas handed down by several generations.
Oh, dear.
I believe he's a Shinigami as well.
Yes,
Don't quote
yes,
me on-
actually,
don't
it comes
quote
with
me
the
on
avatar power.
Ah, okay.
Like, you know, how that goes.
Also, a robot built by the doctor whose name I forget in Doctor Slump.
Robot.
And he also fights with
Never,
he also fights with an annoying puppet sidekick, right?
Named Krillin.
That sounds right.
Shonen Jump. So, how about we do a podcast, people?
I would
No,
like
podcasts are boring.
Good, let's do a boring thing.
I want to do a TV show.
Okay, ready?
I've always wanted to do a TV show, but GX was like, you're ugly, so you shouldn't be on TV. And I'm like, yeah, well, haven't you ever watched The View?
Reef, okay, be quiet. They told me I had a face for radio when I was at the radio station, okay?
Yeah, but I'm making stuff up, so that doesn't matter.
Eh.
I have a face for blind TV viewers.
I have a face for sitting behind a keyboard and typing things.
All right,
So-
well, let's get this show started.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm tired.
We have
Let's
zero
get this
viewers
show
so
on the
far.
road.
We have 0 viewers so far, so there's no point in me saying go to the chat because nobody's watching anyway right now.
Aw.
We might pick some people go up as we go because I tweeted it on both my Twitter accounts, so we'll see how things go. But anyhow, we're ready to go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to the first episode of Straw Hat Quarterly, our One Piece Viewing Club podcast. This podcast is going to cover episodes 1 through 8 of the series, the Romance Dawn saga, Luffy's Past, and the Orangetown saga.
Yay!
I am your host, as always, Giovanni Zen, aka GX. On our panel today, we've got Jim Ed Reef, aka Evil Dr. Reef,
Hi.
Robin Claymore, aka Saber Pilot,
Greetings!
and Alex Peel, aka Knuckles.
Hi, everybody.
So, Straw Hat Quarterly is the new series for NeverShutUp.com. It is a podcast that aims to introduce and discuss this fantastic anime called One Piece. Just
Yay.
discuss it kind of like a book club.
It's okay.
Encourage people to watch it as well and get people involved in the series. I do want to just clarify who we are, what we do, and our relationship with the show. So, Alex, you are not technically a Never Shut Up member and up until today,
Aw, so this is my inaugural thing.
pretty much. So,
This
what
is how we
is
break you
done?
in.
Okay. What was the question exactly?
Well, you are a writer for Segabits.com, which is
Yeah, I'm a writer for SegaBix.com. I also occasionally write for SonicStadium.org. I am doing a few personal things. I hope will become public, but they have been taking a very long time.
And
I
are
hope to
probably
soon write
somewhat disgusting.
and I hope to soon write a few things for NeverShutUp.com.
and
Yay.
well, we'll see. And you haven't pitched anything yet, so we'll see. And
I said I hope.
what is your relationship with the One Piece series, just summed up quickly? What have you seen?
Okay,
What
well,
haven't you seen?
Where are you
coming to with this?
At first, I saw the 4 Kids dub, and I
Uh-huh.
hated it with a seething rage.
Yes.
I had no idea at the time that it was because 4 Kids was a piece of shit, not that One Piece was not a piece of shit.
Okay,
And then-
hold up.
Oh, crap.
Going forward.
It was a piece of crap, yes.
Oh, wow. Not even 5
I was
minutes.
right. I was right.
You were completely right, Reef.
Going on.
Okay. So, anyway, are we retaking that, or I'm just going to
Just keep
continue
going.
from there?
I'll figure it out.
Go fix it in post.
I'm sorry, but really, that's the only way you can describe 4 Kids. I'm sorry. But then I discovered fan subs through SonicSattam.com's webmaster, who had like this whole 4 Kids is a horrible thing website, and she pointed people towards Kaizoku fan subs, and so for several years, that's pretty much how I got into One Piece. It was through the Kaizoku fan subs site, and they do a spectacular job. Unfortunately, they're kind of irrelevant these days, but they were great back then. And then finally, Funimation came along and rescued One Piece, and Oh, there's nothing more to really say about it after that.
Our next major panel member is Evil Dr. Reef. Reef, you are the curator of the quote site on NeverShutUp.com, as well as a host on the Spin Dash. It's true. I know you may have forgotten it, but you are.
Well, it's a good thing I took that amnesia medicine today.
That's handy.
I think you can sum up your relationship with One Piece extremely briefly.
Yeah, I've seen like 4 episodes on Adult Swim, and then you made me watch these ones. So there you go.
I have Knuckles on because he has, I would say, maybe a little bit more experience with the series than myself. Reef has practically no experience, so he's coming this with the freshest eyes. Robin, Saber, I believe you would actually perhaps have more experience than any of us here. Go ahead and tell us what stance you've taken. Before that, though, I want to mention Saber is also a Spin Dash host, as well as the writer of Culture Loving Chaos on NeverShutUp.com.
Thank you very much for that warm introduction. The experience that I have, I did see a bunch of the 4Kids when it came out, and at that point, I kind of just tried to erase it from my memory. The experience I have, bringing to this at least, is I'm a manga reader. So I've read and kept up with the manga pretty well, probably for about 3 years now. So, which is different, and I say 3 years, but for 3 years, the first year I probably caught up on about maybe 400 chapters.
Wow.
So, well, you have to understand, I read a lot. So when I'm sitting down and reading, it's very easy for me to get engrossed in something. And I've been keeping up from there. So watching the anime will be kind of new, but kind of familiar to me. Because, 1, I know they've taken several liberties with some of the people. 2, the pacing is a bit slower.
It's a shonen anime. It is a shonen anime straight up. If you've ever seen Dragon Ball Z, Bleach, Naruto, or anything like that, you will know what to expect from pacing.
Yes. I'm not used to that, but I will give it this. For a shonen anime, its pacing is not as bad as Dragon Ball Z thus far in.
Well, it is not
this far in.
I mean, it's not as bad as Cancer.
Saber, are you familiar with Bleach and
Yes.
Naruto?
Yes.
Because I would say that One Piece wrecks those shows in pacing as well. And from what I've been told, it's because, at least in the case of Bleach, it's because the pacing in the manga is awful.
Well, the pacing in the manga also jumps from topic to topic, but that's neither here nor there. One Piece, at least, one of the strongest points I've said about the manga before is that, unlike a lot of other shonen manga, and again, I'm going to refer to the manga probably a lot because that's my basis of knowledge, one of the things I appreciate is that it doesn't lose its threads. You'll have side stories, yes, you'll have a little bit of A story and then B story, but both of them converge, and the way that Oda writes things, everything is very organic in how it flows together. So I do very much appreciate that in the manga, and so far I've been, like I said, it is a shonen anime. I do need to remind myself of that sometimes, but the pace is not nearly as slow as a lot of other shonen I've seen.
He's very
and that's
good.
saying something.
He's very good at keeping track of what all his characters are doing, even if you don't think he is.
Especially considering there's about a cast of 500 or so now.
The thing's 600 episodes long in Japan, just the anime alone, and
yeah, but I don't think Naruto had even that many characters, and that just topped out at 600.
My stance is that I pretty much watched all, or at least most, of the 4Kids production stuff. I don't recall a lot of it, except for there were parts where it was super awkward, although
I recall the pain.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that I went straight into when Funimation took over in the Skypiea arc. right after they finished the Alabasta arc with 4Kids. I think that said something that I knew that there was something to this anime, even though it was very awkwardly handled by 4Kids Productions.
It's like I told people when they were.
Awkward's an interesting way to say that.
Yeah.
What I was going to say was that it's like what I told people when they were writing papers. There's a good paper in here somewhere. You just need to find it.
Yes. Well, I don't want to turn. We will get to a 4Kids discussion at some point, but
Okay, that's fair.
this is still simply the introduction. I am also a host of NeverShutUp.com, or I am the founder of NeverShutUp.com.
But you are also a host.
Yeah.
And the writer for Horsepower Comics, Giovanni Zen, aka GX. And I, aside from having watched the 4Kids, as soon as Funimation announced and released the One Piece DVDs, starting from the beginning, I have been a diehard, I must get these and watch these as soon as possible. But never to the point where I've ever wanted to go into the subs, or I read some of the manga back whenever I worked directly next to a bookstore, but after that I just did not keep up with it. I think I made it maybe to the Alabasta arc in the manga and did not go further, just because it's manga and in a way it's actually kind of pricier than getting. At this point, it is pricier than getting the DVDs.
Manga, anime is cheaper, and that's sadly true.
Yeah. So, to establish just kind of the rules of how we run and operate this viewing club, pretty simple rules. My other podcast, The Spin Dash, is generally clean in language. However, One Piece is rated TV-14, so
Yes.
consider this podcast to have kind of a similar rating of maturity. I mean, we might get a little bit more lingually intense. I mean, One Piece does have blood, violence, smoking, drinking, and swearing, of course. But
Lots of womanizing.
yeah, I'm sure we will get to that later in the series. Another rule: our focus is primarily on the Funimation dub. I know there's always a point of contention, dubs versus subs. I honestly don't give. I really don't care that much.
Screw you,
But-
Weeaboos.
No, that is not my position. But
No.
my position.
That's my position.
As native English speakers, this is simply the most accessible, entertaining way to experience the show for our cast of hosts here.
Right.
So other versions are certainly open for kids. The Japanese version, the manga, they're not banned from discussion, but the Funimation dub is just going to be the shared experience. So you are more than welcome to come into listening to this in whatever way you would like, but this is the way that we will discuss. Every podcast, we do set a specific set of episodes to be watched, usually covering about 6 to 15 episodes, depending on where arcs lie or where we can find natural breaks. This one covers episodes 1 through 8. And we will do our best not to discuss or allude to things that will happen in later episodes. And finally, this is just mostly intended to be a fun discussion of things. None of us are going to be experts on the show in the strongest possible way. We're not going to be reciting the Wikipedia on it. But
Well, let me just pull up Wikipedia here real quick. Let's see here.
I mean, I'm just saying, hey,
We
we
may-
can get names wrong, we might get times wrong or details or order wrong, but we're just going to try to do our best and enjoy this, because it's all about just having fun with the show.
Yes.
We may sometimes call Zoro Zolo, but, it's all in good fun.
And, of course, Sanji absolutely does not smoke. He has a sucker.
Oh, don't even get me started there.
Very quick disclaimer. The opinions we express are solely our own, each individual host's. Straw Hat Quarterly receives no support from Funimation, Shonen Jump, or any outside company. The companies and services we recommend on this show are purely in service of the podcast itself. That said, Straw Hat Quarterly supports watching anime through legal means, through legal means, if any time it is possible to do so. Please
Amen.
respect the hard work of companies like Toy and Funimation through official online streams and DVDs so that great shows like One Piece can continue to come to America. That said, hey, if you want to support them financially, Right Stuff sells the One Piece DVDs at very reasonable prices, and it is streamable for free on Hulu and through the Funimation website.
And I was going to say that actually helps them as well because it is supported by ads. So, I mean, if you want to support them, then just, leave your ad blocker off and helps them out a little bit.
And what's really great about that is, even though I, of course... Oh, sorry, GX. Never mind.
No, go ahead.
Oh, even though, of course, I used Kaizoku back in the day, that's because that was the only option for me. These
Other
days,
than watching the 4Kids stuff, which is hard to defend.
we're not going to think about that. All, 600 plus episodes are available, subbed on Hulu and through Funimation's website.
Mhm.
So you really should check that out.
So if you would like to participate, and I know at least if you have U.S. access, I'm not sure about other continents' access, you will have the free capacity to do so. With ads, of course.
And I was going to say, if you want to read the manga, there are legal means as well, even if you can't buy them. Most of the way after a good company, after some good translation got done with, I believe it's Viz owns the copyright to that.
Right, Viz owns the copy. Viz is the current publishing house for all Shonen Jump.
Okay, but there was one other company that did it before, but I can't remember. But I actually go to my local library, and most public libraries will have, if not the first 50 or so, the first 100 volumes.
Wow.
Actually, I think they're only up to 70-something in America, but the point is there are legal ways to read it too. And even if you're reading it at your library, the more books that get circulated, the more the library is going to buy, and that all is paid for by taxpayer money anyways. So it is supporting them to do it that way as well.
With our legality out of the way, let's get into some One Piece discussion.
Yay!
So we start off in the beginning with episode 1. I'm Luffy, the man who's going to be king of the pirates.
Yes.
This is as many anime tend to do. Just a straight cold open. We meet a couple few characters. The funny part is, of the full Straw Hat cast pop quiz, which character do we actually meet first?
That guy with the hair, the pink
Kobe.
hair. Yeah, that's the one.
I love Kobe!
But Kobe, not Straw Hat.
Yeah.
Which of the Straw Hat crew do we meet first?
I mean, we all know the answer to this. It's Nami.
It is
But
Nami.
the funny thing about that is that's not how it happened in the manga at all.
No.
It is not. It is a bit different how they chose to open this one. At this point, Nami is already, we'll say, undercover. She is her pirate thief persona and attempting to infiltrate any pirate attackers. I'm not entirely sure why she may have been expecting a pirate fleet to attack the cruise ship she was on, but maybe intel, maybe it's just a plot hole.
Yeah, I think it's a plot hole, but it's really, why overthink this? Why overthink that?
Yeah, but we are introduced to Alvida, the rotund pirate captain.
The most beautiful lady pirate of the East Blue.
Yes, she is the most gorgeous woman pirate that there ever is and will be.
And she has a personality to match.
Of course.
And
Deviously hideous.
as well as her, kidnapped cabin boy or chore boy Kobe.
Oh God, I love Kobe. He's one of my favorite characters.
Sadly, he is such a strange, depressing character because he is incredibly down on himself all the time.
Yes. He is I believe the word is nihilist.
Pretty much.
Nihilist. Sorry.
Yes.
For at this point of the series, Kobe is more or less just his role is to scream exposition all the time.
Yeah.
That's about right.
Pretty much all he does. He gives the explanations of everything, but he always does it in a panicky scream. So Alvida raids this little cruise ship, and Kobe in the kitchen comes across this strange barrel that some of his other crewmates attempt to break open to get the beer within, which, again, I'm not sure how they were intending to do that, because if you destroy the barrel, what's the beer going to do?
They're
They're
just
drunk,
gonna drink
stupid
it as it
pilots.
comes out. They're not smart. They're under her tutelage. She can order them around and they can obey orders. That's about it.
But sadly, it was not beer. It was a strange, very eccentric pirate named Luffy, who then proceeds to search for food, help Kobe escape, and beat the crap out of Alvida.
And
Yes.
and he also punches Kobe a bit, doesn't he?
Oh yes, because he wanted to.
And he'd been with them for 2 years, I think.
Uh,
Is that how long did they say?
It sounds about right, I believe.
Yeah,
Yes.
that does sound right. I'm not sure that was ever specified in the anime.
It was in the manga. They said 2 years, but they never mention it directly in the anime, so I wasn't sure if that was correlated or not.
I
They
think they
had
might
done-
have said 2 years. They
Okay.
might.
They abducted him while he was fishing off the coast of his
Yep.
unnamed town.
And they never talk about his family.
They're
No,
probably dead.
they say almost nothing about
I
Kobe's
know.
past.
I always
In-
thought that was hilarious.
It's funny because for Alvida and Kobe, I'm sorry I am going to kind of break a rule a little bit. I am going to here and there, but for a series that really delves deep into character backstory,
Yep.
we really don't get backstory for Alvida or Kobe.
Nope. And you don't get any even further on for Kobe.
Yeah, so
I don't know. I just like him because I feel like he is a good foil for Luffy, which is
He
probably
is.
why he was introduced, to be honest.
he's
That's pretty much the entire reason for his existence is to establish Luffy's personality. Because I used the wrong word before. It wasn't nihilist. It was fatalist. He's the guy who's just accepted who's just accepted his lot in life, accepts that he's going to be this. Okay, trying to not break the language word rule here. He's because dang it. He's accepted that he is just going to be this pathetic little pea ant for the rest of his life, and he's probably going to.
the language rule is up to TV-14. Just no S, no F.
Well, okay. So a piss ant.
Yeah.
He's a little
Yeah.
piss ant.
I was going to
Okay,
say
that felt
Peon,
good.
but
Peon
Yeah.
works better.
Loser.
Then we
But,
meet up with Luffy, whose whole disposition is
completely opposite.
I'm gonna reach the top, baby. I'm gonna be
I'm
king
gonna
of the.
do what I want, and basically,
Pirate.
hey, if I
Yep.
die on the way there, then I
That's
die.
right.
But at least I'm free and I'm doing what I want to do. And in some ways, basically that's intended to inspire Kobe to turn against, and Luffy eventually helps him free himself from Alvida's grip.
And
I know, but his way of inspiring Kobe is hilarious, and that it's all very detrimental.
He is kind of pointlessly mean at times. But
yeah, I
Kobe
actually
also
quoted.
kind of needs it.
I wrote a quote in your. Let's see if I can find it. Never mind. But yeah, he is really kind of abusive to that poor kid.
But I don't know. I think that it works out in the end. Well, obviously it works out in the end for everybody involved, but I think
Well, not
that,
Alvida.
Oh, well, I mean, is she the kind of character that you really want to win?
Well, I guess not.
Then I would say that she has also served her purpose, even if it's not beneficial to herself. And I think that everybody learns a lot about themselves in the experience. Luffy learns he doesn't have any patience, as though he remembered that at all.
And we got to see a solid nut shot from Nami.
Yes.
She kicked someone right in the groin.
Oh, she loves that shot. What are you
I
saying?
was gonna say it's very common in the show so far for that to happen.
So far, yes. We're also introduced to the concept of devil fruits, which are which are basically the crux of the series. The idea that somewhere in the ocean, or somewhere in the world, there exists these special fruits that are incarnations of the sea devil, the spirit of the sea, that you can eat one and gain enormous, eccentric, unusual powers. However, by doing so, you also sacrifice your ability to swim. The sea effectively hates you, and if you're submerged, you simply sink.
Yep.
Powerless. So basically, Sonic the Hedgehog syndrome.
Yes.
Oh yeah. And it's all come full circle.
Well, Sonic can at least move. These guys look like the water just freezes them.
Pretty much.
Should we?
Well, I mean, I don't know about you, but that's how it always goes when I'm playing Labyrinth Zone. So, I mean,
But can I quote what Luffy said? Can I quote something
Absolutely.
Luffy says to Kobe? "You're more than a coward. I hate people like you."
Yes.
That actually gets to something that I kind of feel. As I was going through and rewatching and actually re-listening just to the audio of these episodes, it kind of strikes that as much as I really, really love the Funimation dub and how so much better it was than the other one, compared to some of my later experiences with the series, the writing in this is still a little bit awkward. Comparing it to the subtitles themselves, they still do take liberties, which I really like about Funimation as a company, that they feel comfortable enough that with their writing that they're willing to not necessarily go with what characters are exactly saying.
I mean, didn't that pay off with Fully Cooley?
It paid off with a lot of their animes.
That really pulled off Space Dandy. Space Dandy had some.
Any of their comedy anime would simply not function without them taking some liberties, just because of the differences between American comedy and Japanese comedy.
yeah, and I mean, I think that's probably true of most dubbing companies, Funimation and others. So,
Right.
And Funimation just happens to do it better than, say, 4Kids.
except for ADV, because all of their comedy was almost entirely with no liberties, and that's what made it so amusing and fun.
true. Oh man, Excel Saga.
Oh.
Yeah, Shin-Chan, that's like I've read that that's a completely different
Is the
series from what it is
of
in
them taking
Japan.
liberties.
Like, just completely different jokes and everything.
So after Luffy and Kobe escape, defeating Alvida, then we get to episode 2. Enter the Great Swordsman, Pirate Hunter Roronoa Zoro.
That's so much fun to say, and I imagine that it's probably even more fun to say in Japanese.
Yes.
Very much so. So this actually marks the great big first divide between the Funimation dub / manga and the 4Kids production dub. I believe, I don't know if it's ever been officially announced or released or anything, but I'm guessing he was named Zolo.
Yes.
Due to the parallels between Zoro, the character in this anime, and Zoro, the Spanish swordsman hero.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I
I've heard
always
that.
assumed.
Yeah, I've heard that from people, but I don't know how much veracity it has because I really didn't care about One Piece at the time. So
It's
I've heard that from a
also-
number of different sources, but whether that's true, I can't say for complete certain, but I suspect it probably is.
From what I understand, especially with Japanese translation, L and R are usually synonymous.
That was
And-
actually my next question, because I was wondering if it was either that or if it was kind of the mixing of L and R.
Well-
Because I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, what I was going to say was that was basically what I understand with the manga. The translators came down to, and they did opt to go for Zoro for precisely the reason you're thinking,
Okay,
because of the Sword Master. They
right.
felt that Americans and English-speaking or reading people would actually identify a swordsman with that name better than someone named Zolo.
Well,
I mean,
I'm inclined to believe it's probably they named him Zoro on purpose, but maybe the kanji or the katakana or whatever we're translating here maybe didn't match with what they were thinking, but they didn't realize that because of the weird R and L thing that goes on.
Hmm.
So
There
it
is-
could be any number of things, really.
there is a little bit inconsistency there. I think perhaps just because we also we learn pretty early on the name of the currency that rules this world, berries,
Berries.
which in any other translation I think is BELI, and I don't think it's actually ever written out anywhere in the series because they have their own little symbol, like we have a dollar sign. But in the dub here, they always pronounce it berry.
In Kaizoku fan subs, they always did bellies, I believe.
Yeah,
It was-
BELI.
Yeah, they used L instead of R.
I actually prefer berries myself, just because I think it's easier to say.
Well, there's that.
As
I think
a-
it also, to me, I thought it was like supposed to be kind of consistent with the idea of like a devil fruit, and it's like, oh, there's a fruit theme going on here. So I didn't even stop
For
to
me-
consider.
For me, it was a little off-putting at first, but looking back on it now, it's like, bellies. That just what's like my stomach. That's just such a weird name. But berries sounds like something you'd actually at least hold and give to people. Even
It
if it's a
sounds
fruit.
like it's some sort of nickname you could give to money. Hey, give me all the berries.
Yeah, sounds
or something.
more like a currency anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I also the other thing is the that at least a popular fan theory with the naming. Sorry, to go back to Zoro.
It's fine.
Oda actually, it's almost spelled that way anytime that he does the artwork for it, and he actually intended for Zoro to be at least somewhat personality based on the American Zoro icon.
And we're actually it seems like a lot of his, again, to allude to, unfortunately, things that happen in the future, there, as we watch, you will see parallels between his work, his characters, his stories, and kind of very well-known Western culture iconography and stories.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not, well, actually, yes, kind of coming up later in this episode. I'll discuss at least one theory that I kind of see.
Okay.
We are introduced in this episode to Pirate Hunter Roronoa Zoro, the Demon Hunter.
Which
The-
I do want to tell you something interesting, at least about his last name. His surname is actually the Japanese pronunciation of a real-life French pirate named Francois. Crap, I can't pronounce that out loud. I'm gonna spell it out, and if somebody else wants to say it aloud, good for them. But it's supposed to,
Rolanola.
but that's actually
making
Nolan Ryan.
his last name is supposed to be based on this French pirate's name, which I thought was pretty awesome.
Can I give a very, very, very vague illusion regarding pirate names in this show, GX?
Sure.
A lot of the names in this kind of call back to actual classic pirates. I guess that's all I can really say about that without going to spoilers.
As we
But-
continue, I'm sure we'll note the actual allusions themselves.
Yeah.
There's at least one late in the
I never knew
series that is a very, very strong illusion.
Turns
Very
out that Leadbeard is actually a parody of Redbeard.
I never knew, though, that the Roronoa was based off of a real French pirate, though.
Yes,
Neat.
and the way that supposedly he fought was very much based on illusions, if I understand correctly.
Huh.
As a pirate, which kind of he also is well known for his swordsmanship, which also makes sense.
Aha.
So,
The crux of the argument.
but
Well-
no, I love Zoro. I think he is a great character, and I think he is an excellent. I hate to say that he's the adult in the beginning relationship of the pirates, but I feel like he is the adult. He watches the beginning of the pirates, and I feel like he is the only adult till maybe other
Well,
characters
I mean,
come along.
between him and Luffy, he's the only adult, but I think he kind of gets downgraded the moment Nami comes
I don't know
along.
about that.
Yeah, I mean, compared to Luffy, he is kind of the brain.
I was gonna say the grown-up.
The function. He is because
He's
Luffy
the
will
one with
never
a
be
functioning brain.
Luffy will never be the functioning brain here. So Zoro begins as, you know what? Compared to Zero, he is at least above Zero.
Yes.
But then Nami eventually does join, and she honestly almost through the rest of the series becomes just
The
kind of
grown-up.
yeah, for at least a lot of the episodes that we've seen thus far.
Until other characters show up.
We shall see. But we open Luffy with Kobe describing Zoro to Luffy, and Luffy making his split decision, saying, "Hey, I want him to join my crew. This vicious pirate bounty hunter."
I love that, and I love the fact that right from almost when you find out the reason that he's been strung up, it completely disintegrates what you would see as this horrible, vile person. But yet, because I think this is one of the reasons that Luffy is such a compelling pirate crew leader, if you will, he actually wants him more after he's found out why Zoro is strung up, which
Well,
I would argue is not the norm.
I was going to say, I think the interesting thing about the whole situation is that, kind of from the word go, the bad guys in the whole scenario are who you would expect to be the good guys. They're like, oh, we're the ones who fight the pirates. We're the Marines. Well, no, it turns out they're actually just the worst people, and the pirates are actually relatively decent people.
Well,
that relationship gets very interesting as we go on through this arc, because we are introduced. We find out that Zoro is tied up in the Marine base's crucifixion yard.
Yeah.
In that he has basically sacrificed himself to make a deal with the Marine captain's son, Helmeppo. He exchanged.
Oh God, he is such a dick.
He has exchanged his freedom for 1 month in order to save the life of a local mother and daughter who run a restaurant. And it came down to a point where Helmeppo comes in, discusses, "Hey, I'm bored. I think I might kill Zoro today," which sets Luffy off, and basically is the turning point in which Luffy becomes an enemy of the state.
Yes.
It goes to the point where we find out Luffy, despite all of his idiocy, turns out to be somehow a fantastic judge of character.
Well, that's what you call an idiot
He's got a high
savant.
EQ. He's got a high EQ but a low IQ.
We learn
And they
that
balance each other out.
we learn that to him, somewhat ironically, that he is very intent on preserving honor, the concept and idea of honor. And a lot of times that gets lost in the series as themes of masculinity or being a man, but honor is just such a strong theme throughout the series. Preserving honor, preserving the honor of a duel, preserving the honor of a fight, fighting on behalf of someone else.
Right.
Of course, that doesn't mean that they aren't beyond some cheap shocks.
Right. I mean,
It wouldn't be a shonen if they didn't.
well, they wouldn't be pirates if at some point they weren't being creative and clever and perhaps sneaky and quite
Clown
a
the groin.
But again, we are introduced to 3 major characters: Zoro, which we talked about; Helmeppo, the Marine captain's son, effectively a weenie little man who throws around his power so vocally, but has nothing to back it up but just words and threats.
Yep.
Yeah.
and just a fantastic voice to go with it.
Oh my God, that voice.
Just nails on a
Oddly
chalkboard.
enough, I think that's about how good it was in 4Kids, if I remember correctly.
The thing is, though, both versions are 100% correct to the character.
Yeah.
4Kids didn't screw everything up.
No,
Of course.
no.
They speaking of big changes between the two series, this is the series with this episode. We had guns.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
being
did have
being
guns.
introduced instead
I
of
think the
water guns and hammers on springs, which is the picture I just sent, to give
Good
you an idea
times.
of the extent of the changes that 4Kids had to make to this series.
and I think a lot of times they simply painted them green
They did.
to
Yeah,
just
green
kind of
or blue.
emphasize. Which, I mean, again, I don't necessarily like a lot of the decisions 4Kids made, but these kind of decisions don't bother me as much from the standpoint that they kind of had to put something out, and they were in a very child-sensitive time slot. They really couldn't give this series the PG that it really kind of is, or in any case PG-14.
Right.
Well, I was
And
going to say.
They had to make some changes. It's just
I mean, certainly, even Funimation made some changes.
right.
The bad the bad decisions that 4Kids made is often kind of lost in the just sort of all the other awful changes that they had to make for their time slot.
Right. It's not that these specific ones were bad. It's not that these specific ones are unforgivable. It's just that everything else surrounding it is not of high
The
quality.
writing, the music, like
Yes.
they just ripped the heart out of that poor series.
It is more or less, to coin a term that's used in other situations. It is really kind of whitewashed.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But we are also introduced to Captain Axehand Morgan, the first
Oh God.
actual threat to Luffy, we'll say.
Mhm.
Are you sure? I don't know that I would consider him that much of a threat.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go that far. It's fine.
I would agree.
I would argue that he is the first antagonist to Luffy. I'm not sure I would consider him a threat.
At the same time, though, like, he almost died. We're kind of getting
Yeah.
into episode 3. Morgan versus Luffy. Who's the mysterious pretty girl?
Turns out it's Carol Channing.
Oh.
So Luffy is able to free Zoro after a huge run around. We discover Zoro is a master of the three-sword style, which is that an actual thing?
No.
Oh, come on.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Also,
I heard that
I couldn't imagine that it actually is, but
I want to
It's
just
also-
clarify. He is not only a master of that, he is the only master of that.
I mean, by definition, he's probably the only one who uses it, so...
That's what I'm saying. He came up with that.
Right.
So it's not just that he is a master, he is the only master.
A
okay.
master of one.
I couldn't imagine that could actually be a thing, but I was curious if it, just on the off chance.
There's the closest correlation in martial arts that I can think of is there are some forms of at least short weapon combat where you use your neck to hold the weapons, but even that you're only holding them insofar as to move them to the other limbs. There's not really a correlation with anybody putting any blades in their mouth.
Yeah.
But,
I could think of somewhere else you could put a blade.
Speaking of that, one interesting touch that Funimation did with the dub that I don't think they even did in the original Japanese sub. I mean, it's been a while, I'm not sure, but what they actually have Zoro talk in kind of a muffled voice, like he has something in his mouth.
Yeah.
I noticed that too, and I was very pleased with that because that is way more realistic than somebody sounding perfectly normal when they have when they have a sword of, how do I put this? When they have a sword handle in their mouth.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a nice touch, but I mean, hey, if he's the master of the three-sword technique, maybe he learned how to talk without sounding muffled. You never know.
I don't think so.
These are the kind of hard-hitting questions that we have here on the Straw Hat.
Reef, you have to keep in mind, like, this series has realism in it, you know? They can't have Zoro talking normally when he has something in his mouth.
Okay, I'm sorry, I have to cut you off there. Realism in One Piece is not something that really correlates.
So much is dictated by realistic physics in this series.
Yes, obviously.
Oda sat down with a calculator and
And Tyson.
using
Tyson.
all of his powers of trigonometry, exactly measured out all the angles at which Luffy stretches in the exact amount that he would have to stretch back in order
And you know
to
what?
do what he
He
does.
probably also figured out the exact amount of mouth pain Zoro would have to go through in order to build up those calluses so he could hold the sword in that perfectly straight angle.
They cut out all the dentist scenes in the series.
Ah, I see.
You know,
Okay,
Zoro
that
would
makes
have to
more
have
sense.
some really strong cheek muscles in order to do what he does.
Oh,
Like,
no.
you just have to have a really ripped face.
Yeah, I mean, because if you think about it, when you're biting something, like if you're holding something in your mouth, it's not exactly easy, especially if it's like as big as or maybe slightly larger than your jaw. So, I mean, his jaw muscles probably should be like the size of tennis balls.
The only thing that actually made sense, and believe me, I actually had this discussion with a friend who reads the manga as well. What we came up with is that he probably has as strong a jaw as a horse. And the reason I say that, it's very similar, the way he holds the sword, to a bit in a horse's mouth. So he probably has a very similar jaw structure to a horse, because we discussed these heavy-hitting facts.
So this
So,
is how the
so Zoro grew up eating grass then.
and this is how the
It's
in My Little
awful.
Pony how the swordsmans do their sword fighting, is it?
And suddenly we're getting back on topic.
Sorry.
Now that,
That's what you
we've
think.
gone full circle into my other series.
Yeah,
Ah.
I like to bring it around like that.
So, Luffy's able to free Zoro. Both of them work together to defeat Axe Hand Morgan, who is a gigantic man,
An axe for a hand.
and the most he kind of has one of the strongest in a series that is filled with narcissism. He literally has his own gold statue that
That he is.
we see him trying to hoist.
It was impressive how much he loved himself.
There are some seriously powerful characters in this series, and none of them have ever ever loved themselves as much as the guy who just has an axe for a hand and thinks he's all that.
I mean, if I had an axe for a hand, I'd be pretty impressed with myself too. But I don't know if I'd go around building statues.
But we are kind of in a position where Luffy says he offers to trade Zoro his freedom and his swords in order to join his crew. And because either way he's an enemy sentenced to death by the state, he's currently left with no choice to become a pirate with Luffy, because either if he's basically going to die.
Yeah.
So he
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, what I love is the line he said, well, you know what? If I'm going to have to be a pirate, I'm going to be the best pirate swordsman. It doesn't matter to him if he's a regular swordsman or a bounty hunter. He just wants to be the best.
Right.
Goal accomplished.
Which fits very well with Luffy himself. It kind of becomes...
I know.
It's pretty interesting, something that this series does that a lot of other shonen do not, because a lot of shonen anime are really centered around the main character saying, I am going to be the best of this. I am going to
Like
go
no
to
one
the
ever
top.
was.
The big thing about Naruto, he's going to be the next Hokage.
Right.
But in a lot of those other animes, whenever that determination is spoken, it's just kind of generally ignored. Whereas
Yeah,
with One Piece, whenever Luffy says that with conviction, like, people really take that super seriously. He's not saying something very light whenever he says, I'm going to be king of the pirates. That's not just a small title. That's not just people thinking, hey, he's just saying this thing. They take it very seriously because it has very strong meaning in this world.
Not just that, but all the people that he surrounds himself with have similar goals. So not only does he surround himself with people of a certain morality or certain honor value,
or a certain quantity of delusions of grandeur,
but they all have similar aspirations to be the best at whatever specific trade or personal value they have.
Plus, I mean, it's so... The idea of a king of the pirates is so deeply ingrained into the lore. They basically state the whole premise of the show in the theme song every time, that they always introduce Gold Roger, King of the Pirates, what he stood for, who he was, and how he died, and kind of where Luffy falls in position with that.
Right.
But getting back to point, after he's able to freeze, Zoro officially joins.
Joins the Straw Hats.
Zoro officially joins the Straw Hat Pirates, though technically they don't become a pirate crew until he joins, because that's officially 2 people.
Right.
I was going to say, did they actually call them the Straw Hat Pirates yet? Because I don't remember hearing that term.
I don't believe they have.
Sorry.
I don't believe they
I knew that's what they were called, but I don't remember hearing it yet, so...
Right. But I don't think they even call them that in the Japanese.
No,
I think they have a specific other name for it, but I can't remember. I think if you literally translate, it's like Jolly Pirates or something like that.
It's usually they're referred to by what ship they're on. If it's the Mary, they're the kanji at least, depending on how it's translated, is how I've seen it.
So the Hat Pirates name is specifically a dub invention?
Yes.
Huh.
It's an American and a translate. It's an American and translation device, from what I understand, because I don't remember that being in the anime at all, in the original Japanese.
Huh.
I'm wondering.
Before kids invented it.
Remind me later in the series. Do they actually refer to the whole group as the Straw Hats?
In the bounties, yes. In the bounties, they do.
I know. I saw. I must have seen like about 300 subbed episodes, and I don't know. I maybe I guess never noticed that.
I know he's always
I'm just the Funimation dub at this point.
At the very least, it's easier to call them the Straw Hats, and they always refer to Luffy as Straw Hat Luffy.
Well, that's what I think it came out of, was a lot of the bounties say the bounty for the Straw Hat Pirate, and since they were grouped together, it just made common sense for people to say, oh, he's part of the Straw Hat Pirate group.
Right.
And that is eventually what evolved into the Straw Hats.
But with Luffy's help, Kobe is able to join the Marines
I love that.
In a kind of roundabout way. I think as much as Luffy is played up as a dumb character, it's funny whenever how clever he actually is. Like he's not conventionally smart, but he has a lot of out of the box clever thinking.
Well, the thing that I like about him, and again, I'm going to keep saying this, he doesn't have a high IQ, but he has a very high EQ. He may not know the best way to speak to the Marines and get them to let Kobe join, but he knows that if he makes a show of Kobe beating him up, if he takes that emotional charge and shows it to them, that they'll respond to that.
Right.
So I think he's a lot more insightful. I just don't think that he is the book learning, perhaps.
Oh, he's definitely not book learning.
But no, I think he's intelligent. I just think it's a different kind of intelligence.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much. That's the only way he could have begun assembling this pirate crew to begin with, is if he knew how to essentially bring people together and get them on board.
And assess their qualities, which you would have to have a very, very high emotional intelligence for.
And as we continue, we get to episode 4, Luffy's Past, entered red-haired Shanks.
Yay, Shanks!
Which was originally the first chapter of the manga.
Right, we learn about Luffy's past in that very anime-typical way of throwing us right in the middle of a story and then eventually getting to what happened at the beginning.
Right.
Luffy had a pirate friend, red-haired Shanks, who we later find out has relation to another enemy that Luffy fights in this set of episodes.
Right.
We learn Luffy's origin story. We kind of get a good grip on perhaps where he has obtained the sense of honor he has, where he's gotten his straw hat, and how he even got his powers to begin with.
I love that they showed that. Oh my god, that's probably one of my favorite scenes with him. I like to call it Little Luffy because there's a lot of little vignettes in the manga of Luffy when he's a little kid, and probably one of my favorite scenes is Shanks trying to get him to spit up that fruit.
And his legs just stretched down, his head smacks against the ground.
Like he just basically is trying anything but choking the poor boy to try and get it out.
The story of how Luffy became a cartoon character.
Pretty much.
Those devil fruits work fast.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they even had time for him to digest any of it. It just happens.
Well, at the same time, it's also Luffy, so how he eats is unnatural to begin with. So, but we learned that the reason why he has become king of the pirates is because Shanks sacrificed part of himself in order to save Luffy. A very important part that he lost his arm trying to protect Luffy from a Sea King. Luffy, somewhat racked with guilt, somewhat acknowledging that he wants to make the most of this sacrifice, and basically just out of straight admiration for Shanks decides he's going to make him proud and return his hat to him whenever he's become a great pirate. And not just any great pirate, but the person to find the One Piece, the person to cross the entire Grand Line and become king of the pirates.
I think it's sweet that in this manga, and there are many manga in which there are father and mother issues, I think it's relatively sweet that we have a father figure that isn't actually Luffy's father.
Mm-hmm. It's plus you just get a real bonding sense between them that a lot of these kind of heroes don't necessarily have. Luffy's backstory is pretty much gripped with loss, which will kind of become a theme. Yeah. I mean, that's a theme we're gonna. The idea of loss is a theme we're going to come back to again and again, but
a lot.
Yeah. And the theme, I think, of family, which is why the pirate crew is so important to every single one of the members.
Right. Moving away from Shanks, we get a good sense of Shanks' character. He is a very honor-bound pirate, but he's also for as powerful and good as his crew is. He's also incredibly laid back and very, not maybe forgiving, but he's protective of things that need to be protective, and he doesn't feel like he needs to start fights that aren't necessary.
He's very
he is a Buddhist. He does not. You can spill beer and wine and drink all over him, and he'll be good. He doesn't care.
However, in relation to Luffy's hunger, we then get to episode 5, a terrifying, mysterious power, Captain Buggy, the clown pirate. Luffy begins the episode trying to get food, stretches to try to grab a bird, and gets caught by the bird.
And
that's how he gets into 95% of his difficulties is going after food.
I believe it.
This is not the last time this. In many ways, sorry, go on.
By bizarre pure coincidence, Nami, who we eventually learn her name at some point.
Right.
Ironically, I don't think we even learn her name in the episode Who's the Mysterious Pretty Girl.
We don't actually. I only think we learn it when Buggy says it. Or she introduces herself. That's it.
Yeah. But
well, I mean, to be fair, if we knew who the Mysterious Pretty Girl was, then they wouldn't have called the episode that, so...
But Nami, in her tricky nature, effectively throws Luffy under the bus, says she's already in deep crap, stealing from the buggy pirates. Luffy comes flying down. She says, "Okay, boss, you take care of them," not even knowing who this person is. Eventually, Luffy beats the other pirates that are after her because he's Luffy, and she's able to trick him into giving himself up in order for her to gain Buggy's trust. The whole time throughout the earlier episodes, her entire goal is getting a map of the Grand Line.
Right.
And she has been chasing this across many different ships.
Mm-hmm.
We get introduced to Buggy the Clown Pirate, who we don't entirely know what he is capable of at first. It almost seems like when we're first introduced to him, he has some sort of force powers or
He's
something
just
like that.
insane.
But we do at least know he has Devil Fruit powers, which
Right.
is the second Devil Fruit user we are introduced to in the series.
We find another one pretty early on.
Considering they're so rare.
Yeah.
Buggy reveals he has fruit powers. He has the Chop Chop fruit, which allows him to split his body up into multiple pieces, effectively making him immune to axes or any sort of blade. Which is funny because
should have been
Luffy is
the one
immune
that-
to any sort of gunshot.
I was gonna say he should have been the one that went after Axian Morgan.
But
would've been interesting.
that leads into desperate situation: Beast Tamer Moji versus Luffy.
Yes!
This is also a good character building episode for Luffy, especially in the context of having met Nami. Zoro, Nami, and Luffy are able to escape from Buggy's grasp. However, they go to a nearby town. They meet Shushu the dog and Mayor Boodle, who are actually residents of the town before Buggy chased everyone off.
Right.
We find that Shushu is guarding a pet food shop of his late owner.
Oh my god. Dog. I love that dog.
As Buggy goes to send people after Luffy, but more importantly Zoro, because at this point Zoro is very infamous. He
Right.
actually has a reputation, but Luffy has nothing established himself. He honestly takes Zoro as the biggest threat.
I kept forgetting that for the longest time that it takes a while for Luffy to get some infamy, and for a while Zoro is
reputation?
actually the one. Yeah, well, because Zoro is the one with the reputation at this point.
Right, he is Pirate Hunter Roronoa Zoro,
Right.
already known in the East Blue to be a fierce demon hunter.
Right. You mean a pirate
And-
hunter?
Pirate Hunter, well, they call him
They-
Demon
they
Hunter
call him
Zoro
a-
because
I think they
he's...
call him a demon, but
Well, they call him a demon, but like
sounds like a demon.
demon, comma, hunter.
Right.
That's what you put on your resume.
But
Like,
I
uh,
had demons, I had pirates.
it's
I
with
hunters.
this It's with this episode and with Shushu that we get introduced to One Piece's idea of what a treasure is. We
Right.
kind of get these two opposing notions between assholes like Buggy and the good guys like Luffy. And a treasure is not necessarily something that's of value. It is something that it is
You
of
value.
value to you, like
Yeah.
a hat from your best friend, or a pet store from your dead owner.
Whereas Buggy takes it entirely literally. He is very monetarily driven.
Oh,
He
yeah.
believes
yeah.
treasure is absolutely gold.
Gold, gems, etc.
Which,
And
which
I
means
like
he's
the
more of
way-
a conventional pirate.
Yeah.
I like the way One Piece handles this message because I feel like it's handled more delicately and with more emotional impact than the typical. What matters is what's inside you, and all the sort of heavy-handed BS that.
They add a layer of metaphor over it rather
Yeah.
than just saying the
Yeah.
power of friendship and teamwork.
Well, they also use a cute little doggy, which helps.
Right.
That doggy is adorable.
So
Then gets beaten up.
Buggy sends one of his underlings, Beast Tamer Moji, to go defeat Zoro, and or basically to ravage the town. I think to find Zoro.
Yeah.
One of them fights for something like that.
It was to find Zoro, but he just found
He
a dog
finds
food
Luffy.
place and said, "Hey, let's go get some dog food." Then he set on fire for some reason.
Yeah, he and his lion Richie destroy Shushu's dog food or pet food store. Shushu, a tiny little dog, attempts to fight back and defend it, but is unable. So Luffy takes up the bar, defeats Moji, with basically the understanding of Luffy's character. No matter what your reason, if you hurt a friend of mine, you have to be punished.
And that's when you see that face of his, that terrifying face.
Right.
That it's distinctive. You get used to seeing that because it's like there's something to it. His eyes just stare like bullets into your soul.
And one
You
thing
know
I do,
you pissed them off.
one thing I do want to mention, Oda has mentioned, at least in passing, that he got the idea for Moji from Siegfried and Roy.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah,
So-
kind of.
The hairstyle tipped me off, and I was kind of curious the one day when I was reading it, and I looked it up, and yeah, he said, "Oh yeah, I just thought about those guys in Las Vegas with the tigers."
Nah.
That brings us to Epic Showdown: Swordsman Zoro versus Acrobat Kabaji. With Moji defeated, the mayor says he's going to fight Buggy himself. Luffy, with his inspirational messaging, inspires him. Even if I die, I will fight with everything I got. Then Luffy knocks him out to make sure he doesn't die.
Yeah, he's like, "Old guy, you're just silly. I'm gonna fix this."
No, he actively encourages him, and then he just makes sure he doesn't kill himself.
Well, he wants him to have that fighting spirit, but he knows his body doesn't stand a chance.
Yeah, it's all got all that osteoporosis and stuff.
So Buggy sends his next in command, Kabaji the Acrobat, to find and fight Zoro, even though the general understanding is no, it isn't Zoro who is
The problem.
defeating these people. Zoro's actually wounded from Buggy's first attack and has been out of commission up until this point. But Zoro does actually engage Kabaji, and this is also a good character building moment for Zoro. Reef, I think you have a point to make here.
Yeah, it seems like every single time Zoro goes into action, ends on the verge of dying.
Yes.
And I appreciate that. I'm glad that he almost dies every time because otherwise, what else do I have to believe in?
I'm not gonna touch that.
Probably for the best.
But it also shows that even though he's on a very painful verge, that basically a knife went through him.
Yeah.
I know.
He has been poked many times in this wound in mocking by Kabaji. He just
Yeah.
says, "You know what? Fine. If you want to poke at my wound so much, go ahead." And then just proceeds to allow him to hit him just to prove a point, and then beat the crap out of him.
I was gonna say then he beats his
He's
ass.
like, now I got a handicap. So, and he still beats him with the handicap. So
I know.
it's obvious that Zoro is really cool, and he definitely is not afraid to die. I just think it's funny that he always almost dies constantly.
Yeah,
Well,
that will be a running theme.
especially with Zoro, they do kind of have to handicap him early on because he is already really tough.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
It's kind of. Yeah, I'm not even going to say it because that gets into future arcs as well. But I'll bring it up as it comes up.
So would you say that there is a Zoro arc coming up?
There is a Zoro episode coming up. I wouldn't say there's a Zoro arc. Maybe a Zoro saga. Zoro Blade Chronicles.
I will
Are we-
find a gum fruit and throw it at your face if you don't stop.
I don't need to swim. So that brings us to the last episode in this section. Who is the victor? Devil Fruit Power Showdown.
That has such a show
Buggy.
title.
Buggy wins.
That's an excellent shonen title.
I saw the title the first time, and I was like, oh my god, that's even more shonen than the last episode's title.
So, Buggy reveal. This is interesting. We find that there is actually a connection between Buggy and Red Hair Shanks. Buggy has sworn vengeance and anger against Shanks. They were once part of the same crew when Buggy was just a normal pirate. Buggy was attempting to steal a devil fruit in order to sell it and make money to fund his own pirate enterprise.
Yeah.
In order to retrieve a treasure at the bottom of the ocean. But Shanks surprises him, he eats the devil fruit, and has lost his ability to do anything underwater. Which is funny because he not only saved Buggy,
Yep.
but he also gave him the powers that he used to obtain greatness to this day.
Which
So-
is amusing why he hates Shanks so much.
He is not a clever man.
No, he's not.
Buggy is a very vengeful man, but no, he's not the most clever, no.
No, I would say that Luffy is smarter than Buggy.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
just to kind of get to the character of Buggy, I just love that it is so much a Mark Hamill Joker
Yeah.
impression
God,
about it.
yes.
That's pretty much the voice they got was Mark Hamill. I mean, it wasn't actually Mark Hamill, but
No.
that
But
was close.
It's about an impersonation as you can get without actually getting Mark Hamill.
Without getting into copyright issues.
But also with a little bit more, we'll see, a little bit less slyness to it, and a little bit more enraged enthusiasm.
I was going to say thug, but that works too.
It's an overly dramatic version of that, but it culturally for us it fits really well. Nux, you've seen at least some of the Japanese, right?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Japanese.
Like how does that voice match up with ours?
It's been a while. I remember it being kind of cringly.
Yeah,
It's
like
like-
high-pitched
like-
crackle type voice.
Yeah, so it wasn't. I don't think it was really too far removed from what they ended up getting. What we ended up getting with Funimation.
Okay. Before we recorded, I started rewatching a little bit of the Japanese version, and I was actually very surprised how close some of the early voices really were.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
Alvida
really
is profoundly, the Alvida is profoundly close. The Kobe
Yeah.
is practically spot on. Like,
Oh,
if
I
you
was so
remember-
That is
happy
pretty
with Kobe.
Yeah.
I love Kobe.
I didn't
And-
watch any of the Japanese, but I remember you mentioning it a few hours ago in the chat, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like when they can get really close with the original because, I mean, especially if you start watching it out in the subtitles and then you switch over to the dub at some point, I always appreciate if they can get it pretty close.
Right.
And with Luffy, I believe 4Kids used a male voice actor for him, but
No, for Luffy, no, it is a female voice actor. There is actually some great
really
commentary
even
on.
4Kids, huh?
Oh, I'm sorry, 4Kids. I'm sorry. I thought you said.
I know it's a Klinkenbeard, Lauren Klinkenbeard, I believe, for
Right.
Funimation.
I
But
think.
I believe with 4Kids, among their many screw-ups, I think they used a male
actually
voice
did
for
use-
Luffy.
Yeah, they did.
Clankenbeard sounds like a Pokemon.
It's
Being
actually,
a
Well, we'll
kid.
voice the Pokemon at some point.
Klinkenbeard is a fantastic pirate name.
It is.
True,
Yeah.
that too.
You know what? She was made for this role.
But yeah, Luffy is voiced by a woman in both the Japanese
Yeah.
original and in the Funimation dub.
Which is
I think that
actually
makes
It's
sense.
really well.
very
It's
common.
really well.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah,
it's just a very common practice. Small boys, young boys, raspy
Adolescents.
voices,
Yeah.
teenage boys. It's often voiced by female characters just to get a certain cadence to it, and a lot of times it works. I mean, it's kind of like back in the early historical presentations, how they would use young boys and prepubescent boys in order to play female roles. We just have girls playing teenager roles just to Yeah.
My first thought actually for that was the early 20th century Peter Pan productions. because
Well,
that
also,
is
yeah.
traditionally done.
And actually, the current one on
Also
television.
that's-
true.
Well, that's based on the original musical, but
Yeah.
that set a precedence, and they even had the same things in Japan with what is the name of the mask theater?
Kabuki.
Kabuki,
Yeah.
where they
Right.
would have young men act as the women as well.
You know, this is interesting because to me it's just like, oh, he's young, so he's got a female voice actor. That's very normal. It never occurred to me that there was like all these literary and scholarly discussions we could be having about this.
No, that it's. I mean, that's pretty much what a lot of this is born from those Japanese and European roots.
I just thought it was because girls sound like prepubescent boys.
Well, that's part of it too.
Well, it also helps that instead of having an actual prepubescent boy for this, who will at some point grow up,
And have a
Yeah.
voice change.
yeah, at least an adult woman is probably going to have a similar voice through many, many years, especially in this
700
kind of.
episodes.
And you're gonna need that for One Piece.
Yeah.
So
I'm not even sure if they're gonna be if the voice actors are gonna survive this series at this rate.
Oh, I'm amazed that she had with this series just has so much screaming in it. Like anytime I had to describe this series to my old roommate or my parents, it's like, yeah, this is a series that's where the pirates are screaming all the time.
Yeah, that's.
Screaming and crying.
That makes me laugh because it makes me think of Excel Saga and how they had to replace the voice actors for Excel after episode 13 because her voice was just too badly burned out.
Yeah.
She couldn't keep going. And they had a deadline to meet, so they were like, well, we're going to have to get someone else.
Yep.
But
So
this is
Luffy's voice actor. Sorry.
I was just gonna say this also marks
Mayumi.
important landmark of Luffy's first significant battle. Battles that have actually
Mattered.
yeah, we'll
Yeah,
say
the
that.
first actual threats.
Right.
Because this
See,
is the
that's
first
why
person
I
that-
kind of.
Go ahead.
That's why I kind of disagreed, but I guess that was kind of spoilerific. Why I disagreed with Axe Hand being his first real nemesis, because I didn't feel like there was as much on the line with him as there is with Buggy.
And even with Buggy, I have to wonder if Buggy would have done much better had he not been distracted by Nami stealing his treasure.
Well, that's kind of the interesting situation here because this isn't a straight up Luffy solo victory.
No.
This is he and Nami kind of fighting together. Him pretty much whenever he's trying to concentrate on one of them, the other one's attacking him, hitting his foot, kicking him in the crotch. And of course, Nami's final move to tie up all his parts so that we are stuck with tiny Buggy.
Little
Yeah.
Buggy, yeah. That's so adorable, little Buggy. He's
Portable Buggy.
I bet
And,
there are model kits of him.
Luffy finishes him off by blasting him off Team Rocket style into the horizon.
That
Yep. Where hopefully, for his sake, he doesn't land in a big, ocean of water.
I was gonna say maybe he'll land in like a field of cacti and razor blades and lemon juice, but I guess that would probably be worse for him. 'cause he
I will just say there is some spectacular payoff for all this.
Yes.
That's all.
So this is starting to wind down the first couple of arcs of the series. They're very small. They're very short. They come quick and they end quick. As we continue the series, it will get a little bit longer. Each individual arc will start to take.
A little bit.
Well, yeah. I mean, we made it through 8 episodes this time. The next arc is actually going to be 8 straight episodes in one location, but it has a lot of layers, it has a lot of events, and it has a lot of characterization.
Mm-hmm.
So we end our first episode of Straw Hat Quarterly. Nami leaves with Luffy and Zoro, but is not really part of their crew. She still hates pirates, but she finds that this appears to be a profitable venture, so she'll tag along.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So that just leads us into our next podcast, which we will record live on December 15th. We're going to cover episodes 9 through 17, the Syrup Village Saga, and an introduction to an important new character who is briefly in the last episode of this section.
Sorry, he's my homeboy.
I mean, I don't care if you tell me because I know who they are, but I don't know in what order they get met.
Well,
So-
we'll be a little bit more cavalier for the sake of the audience.
Okay.
Although I'm sure
Okay.
anybody who's listening to this probably has
Knows
a
who's coming
pretty
up.
good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be surprised if we had anyone here who didn't know who the next guy was, but guess we'll see.
Yeah. So with that,
Or guy or gal.
we are going to head out, set our sails, and be off on our own adventures. So
And people,
until next time, peace out, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
we'll drop in on you on the 15th.
Okay. You can go ahead and stop your Audacity.
I
That was
thought
a-
that
Yay.
Yep, a bit longer than I expected, but I think it'll be all right.
Yeah.
Well, there's some stuff that'll probably get cut out at the beginning, so.
Okay,
More
let
than
me export this.
Oh, yeah.
Straw Hat.
Next, let me attach you to the. Do you have Google Doc? Or I'm sorry, do you
I-
have Google Drive on your
I
computer? Or
do,
just,
and do you want me to upload it to that?
let me get you the folder for it. Let's see.
Okay.
Google Drive. Oh crap,
Forget.
that's right. It's not on. Oh yeah, yes it is. Here we are.
there we go.
And share with. Oh wait, no, wait, that's something different. Share. Share. Just
Share
like the
means
recording
sharing.
artist.
No.
I do not care for share.
What is that? Is that you, Nux?
Nope.
Okay, I wasn't sure what that big noise was.
Yeah, I have no idea either. I think it was
Probably zombies.
I think it was
that's what I'm-
Waluigi.
Wah!
Waluigi breathing into the microphone.
Wah.
No.
So let's take a look at the numbers. We still have 0 viewers. Oh well, but we have a podcast thing, so that's
I
cool.
was gonna say this was the first episode though, so don't.
Right.
I mean,
I don't care if we ever get any listeners. I just do this.
That's crap.
If we don't get any listeners, then.
We do it because we felt like it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Why?
I'm gonna start
Because I
questioning the
felt like it.
legitimacy of this enterprise if we don't get any listeners.
I think we'll eventually get listeners, but I do think it's gonna take a few episodes.
I think we'll eventually get a listener. I can force someone to listen
That
to
is
it.
not how you get people to listen to you.
Shakes
Actually, I
might
get
listen.
people to listen to me.
Shakes might listen.
I could slap him
Hey,
around a
Shakes
bit.
might
Say,
listen.
hey,
Wow.
He started,
I,
I know he started to watch One Piece on what's it called?
Friday.
Hulu?
Yeah, because Reef
Hulu,
was
yeah.
listening it, and he seems to actually give credence to anything Reef says.
What? No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does. He
Who are we
will
talking
listen
about?
to- Higgs.
Oh, Higgs.
Yes.
Oh,
he will
I thought we
give
were talking
you
about
more
Shiggs.
credence than no. He will give you more credence than he gives GX.
Well, that's because GX is mean. So.
Yeah, he is
You do it
extreme.
too.
Yeah, but I'm mean in a funny way.
Yeah. I
You're
have to say, I like Reef a lot more than I like GX. Yeah, just-
That's not nice.
Yeah.
yes,
well,
it is. I'm being honest.
That's
We like
honesty.
honesty.
That's not
to
being
be
nice.
fair, I like Reef more than I like GX.
See, even GX agrees. He like. Everybody likes Reef more than themselves.
Well, I
Well-
like Reef really a lot, but that's kind of obvious for obvious reasons.
Well, you have to. You're
Yeah,
you're legally obligated to.
I'm not legally obligated, but I'm obligated. There's a difference.
Oh, great. It's an obligation now.
We're all obligated to like you, Reef.
I choose to like you. There you go.
You choose to be obligated to like me.
No.
Yeah, when you post that episode of the first Straw Hat Quarterly thing, the only other guy in the chat left.
Next, go ahead. I don't want you to say it on air, but can you type your Google email address into the chat window here?
Okay, I mean, I don't mind if. Oh wait, are we still live?
Yeah, we're
Yes.
still live. That's why I don't want
Okay,
you to
yeah.
actually say it.
All right, that's
Hey, you
fair.
should type into the chat the person we're going to meet next. Because I want to know who it is.
Really? You don't know?
I don't know what order they meet each other in.
but like we still.
Well, there was a preview of who it was.
Oh, was
That's why
there?
I said we would drop on the 15th.
I don't get it.
That's his theme song for a while.
I don't know these things. I've never watched it before.
It's called the Blank Drop. That's his theme song. Never mind.
I don't think that comes up in the dub.
Oh.
I don't know who you're talking about.
I typed his
Okay,
name.
I gotta go, guys. So
Before you go, you didn't type in the thing.
I typed in
yes,
my
you
Oh,
did.
email.
I'm
okay.
sorry.
right
Yes,
there.
you did.
You're,
I didn't
someone
know that
isn't
was his
paying
theme song. I
attention.
never heard anything like that before. I don't know anything about this show.
You're our control group, Reese.
I know, that's the point.
I hope you
Okay.
appreciate. I was gonna say you're a scientist, so you do appreciate we're doing this for science.
I
so.
shared the audio folder. I would say
Okay.
don't delete your master file.
All
Like,
right.
do a save as just to save the thing, and save it as an MP3 so that we have
Let's-
2 versions just in case.
Okay. Well, I'm all right. Okay, and I'm going to be going now. See ya.
Cool. Just make sure to upload I just shared the Google Drive folder with you. It's called Never Shut Up Audio.
Okay.
All you'll have to do is, do you know how to add that to your desktop one?
I'll figure it out.
Okay. If you have trouble, I'll be home tomorrow evening. I don't
Okay.
work super late like I normally do.
Yeah, because you have to get up at 3:30.
Ugh.
Peace, y'all.
Bye.
Hope you guys
Okay,
enjoy.
bye.
See you next time.
Yeah. See you on the 15th, if not sooner.
Bye bye.
Peace.
Bye.